Hello and welcome to For the Quantum Grammar Shoot podcast, the only podcast of its kind on the interwebs that I'm aware of. I'm your host, Jason Matthew Glass, full stop. You may call me Jason. And in this podcast, I will be looking at various topics as viewed through the lens of correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, the wonderful technology brought to the public. 1988 by the late DAVID-WYNN Miller. Full stop. What I'd like to talk about today, just some things on my mind. We'll start in one place and probably go all over the place, as per usual. The one thing I'd like to talk about is department stores, for one thing. When you go into a Kohl's or a TJ Maxx or any place like that, they offer you rewards programs, or even hardware stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, or Best Buy, the electronics and stuff like that. They always want to offer you some sort of membership or awards program. If you get this card, you get discounts and this, that, and the third. Well, that just rubs me the wrong way, because you're not really saving anything. You're not. Listen, if it was their volition to sell their product at the lowest possible rate to give you, the customer, a deal, if that was their actual volition, truly, they wouldn't need any of that. They would just mark the price down and that's it. You don't got to buy into anything. You don't need a card. You don't need a membership. You don't need anything like that. They would just sell it to you if that was their volition, if they really wanted to give you savings. But they don't. What they are instead offering you is the illusion of savings if you agree to do this or that. And it's actually it's much more costly on your part, not only value-wise, but data-wise. Okay? Now space-wise. Because then you get residual effects from joining these memberships, such as emails in your inbox telling you about this latest deal that you ought to have because you have this certain card. Notice about offers, 0 interest for 12 months, and all these different things. And again, I repeat myself. If their volition was to save you, the customer, money, if they truly cared about that, they wouldn't have any of that crap. They would just give you the lowest price. And it would be boiled down to the simplicity of things, right? Okay, I have to go out of my way to spend money to travel over here to get this product for $100. I bring it back to town, and now I sell it to you for $150 because I need to make money. I need to pay for my gas. I need to pay my rent. You don't want to go get it in the other town or wherever I went to get it, so you're going to pay that extra $50 for it. Otherwise, you can just go to the other town and get it yourself for $100. What's it worth to you? See, it's simple commerce. And let me tell you something. This has brought this association to my mind. This may offend some people, but this is what drug dealers understand. This is exactly what drug dealers understand in, landlocked states and stuff like that. They got to send couriers out to other big cities, buy stuff in bulk, bring it back, and then up the price. Because not everybody wants to go to the big city to get their product. Do you understand what I'm saying? I better stop talking about that. But it just brought that to mind because, the government knows that. The government knows that very well. And it's the same thing in any business that you can look at. Pretty much. You want to go to the farm and buy the eggs direct from the farmer, cash, is probably going to be cheaper than buying it from the grocery store that the farmer took the eggs to. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be marked up. So if you cut out the middleman and go right to the source, you're going to get the best prices. And I guess that would be the premise behind places like Costco and Sam's Club. Maybe. But not really, because you're still not really getting the full deal there. Again, if their volition was for you to pay the lowest possible price, they wouldn't need all of these tricks and traps to sell you memberships and things like that. It would not be necessary. And so we can carry these things. These are what I call the mechanics of contract into everyday life with people you meet. Contractors are big with this stuff. Auto body shops, garages, all the same thing. They get materials and stuff at the cost that they pay for it, and then they charge you twice as much, or even 3 times as much. Upcharge, baby. It's what they do. Now, in the business that I'm in, specific to this channel, is teaching correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar. This really does not apply to what I do, because there are no charges or fees for what I do. I navigate on a donation gift basis. And if you've ever had a consultation with me, I explain that to you, and you will know how it works. It keeps third-party interlopers out of the business. And this can happen anywhere. Like if you were on Facebook Marketplace locally, and someone has a statue that you want to buy for $100. You see the statue, you like it, you feel like it's worth $100. You go meet the person at the 7-Eleven. You get the statue, they get the $100. Deal done. No extra added incentives. No 0 interest for 12 months payment plan. It's just boom, boom, boom. Done, done, done. So easy. But that's the thing with the fiction system. They want to complicate things so they can make more money. Take any mortgage company, for example, and that is why it's so, it can be very dangerous to stop the trespass of a mortgage if you feel you're being trespassed upon by a mortgage. It is so tricky in those sticky situations because from my experience and from the experience of other folks that I've known and spoken with, and also mortgage companies that I've personally interacted with, it's almost similar to like how I perceive the CIA to operate, or even the FBI to operate, or something like some sort of government agency. Everything is compartmentalized. The first individual that you speak to, if you're speaking about, to a customer service representative, is going to try and what we will call poo-poo you away. If you have a question about, hey, where did this, $5,000 extra charge come from? This fee, where's it come from? What happened? And they'll start talking about escrow and this, that, and the third. And if you're not savvy to that stuff, which I'm not really all that savvy with it, but they'll start talking about it. It kind of confuses you. And you automatically start thinking, I really don't want to deal with this. But they're trained to do that. They're trained to explain it in such a way that not only confuses you or confuses the less knowledgeable, ignorant individual, like myself can be at times. It not only does that, but it also gives you an explanation, and it sounds like they know what they're talking about. And because you don't know what they're talking about, it seems like they do. So therefore, you're like, okay, that makes sense. And then you just accept it. But then you get someone in there that's savvy about it, that knows about that stuff. And if they challenge that salesperson, that representative will basically glitch out and, like, hand the football off to somebody else, a manager, someone else. Or they'll get angry, get rude. That's another tactic they use, by the way. They will get very condescending at times, sometimes rude, because you may be feeling stupid in your head as they're talking to you. They might pick up on that. And if you push them in any way, then they will pounce on that like a predator and exploit that and be like, well, I just explained to you, sir, this is how it works. And then that might even throw you for a more of a loop. Be like, yeah, wow, I am really stupid. That sucks that this salesperson thinks I'm stupid. Then you just go along with it. But again, if you get someone who's savvy in there and challenges that, and is the type of individual that, like myself, has an extreme dislike for bullying, then it can get fun. Then it can get funky. Then it can get interesting. And then you go through different sales reps until you finally meet one that knows what they're talking about, can give you the answers, and then it's either, it's our bad, sorry, we're going to make that right, or they actually explain to you exactly what the hell happened, and then it all makes sense, and then we can all move on. But it's such a process to get to that point. And I'm going to bring this back around to correct sentence structure, and the whole reason why people want to learn this grammar technology is that, like myself, a lot of people don't want to deal with that. Don't like word games, don't need a lot of red tape, don't want to go through all those hoops, chutes, and ladders that the fiction system throws at you. Much like the legal system, everything is like that. Government, legal system, mortgages, right down to department store memberships and all these other things. Hell, even internet providers have a sticky web that's very hard to navigate through and come out the other end without having residue on you. The fiction system has become much, much, much more sticky than it once was, folks. They try to make it as complicated as possible. Fortunately for us, we do have quantum grammar that we can choose to learn, and when we've had enough, or we feel we're being trespassed upon, we can always turn to it. And it will, 10 times out of 10, if we know what it is we're doing, and we have all the closures we need, 10 times out of 10, we won't have any residue on us. We'll be able to stop the trespass, and the fiction will run the other way. That's how it happens. That's what makes this stuff so wonderful. Speaking of fiction system, I'd like to talk a little bit about some things I've seen in social media about, I guess, the current administration and specifically RFK. Something about rumors about blackmail or issues like that. And there's a comedian out there that used to be mainstream or was about to go mainstream several years ago, but they got, I don't know if they got canceled or blackballed or whatever. Something happened because I guess they said the wrong thing. So now they kind of are off on their own, doing their own thing independently, which is great. The individual's name is Owen Benjamin. I guess he used to run around with Joe Rogan and maybe, I don't know, Mitch Hedberg and those types of comedians. He made the remark that, blackmail is wrong. It's underhanded and blah, blah, blah. However, he put the caveat in there that if you don't want to be blackmailed, don't do effed up shit. Don't be doing things that you can be blackmailed for. Don't be doing underhanded, shady stuff. It's that simple. And it is so true. So if RFK is out there going to Diddy parties or whatever, or he had 20 years ago, that's on him. He made that choice to do that. Same thing with anybody else out there that I guess their power is based upon society's perception of them. Don't do things like that. Yes, people can make stuff up. AI can generate lots of stuff. But I have to think that if it didn't really happen, the truth will come to the light. If it was faked, it'll come out that it was faked. If you didn't say that, it'll come out that you didn't say that. If you weren't actually in that picture or that video, it'll come out. They'll be able to prove that you weren't. Because that's how the truth works, folks. It eventually comes out in one form or another. So I just thought that was an interesting thing to bring up. And a lot of people are saying, RFK, he's looking at all the, making all these changes, the the food industry and things like that, medical industry. And then people criticize him for supporting, that little country by the Mediterranean Sea over there. He supports them. And people are making a big deal. Oh, well, he does that, F him. No, I mean, that's not how the left-right paradigm works. What you do is you make a list on one side and a list on the other side, the pluses and the negatives. And if the pluses outweigh the negatives, then that's the way you vote, theoretically. Unless you're just a protagonist-centered moralist and you just vote for whatever team you're on, regardless of policy. Which has got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. So that's the way it works. I mean, that's how I approach people anyways, with how they decide things. I try to figure out, are they doing it because they're follow protagonist-centered morality, or are they doing it based on policy? And imagine my pleasant surprise when I meet someone who is neither left nor right, and they can actually think for themselves outside of that Hegelian dialectic mentality. And as far as that little country over by the Mediterranean Sea, if I see anyone supporting them and saying, blah, 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 we're fighting terrorists and blah, blah, blah. Well, the word terrorist, that depends upon where you're at, who you are, what side of the fence you're on. Because, I mean, when you look at 9/11, I mean, the story that we're told about 9/11, theoretically, that terrorists attacked the USA, okay? And the terrorists were in caves in Afghanistan. The terrorists, because they terrorized New York City. So now, the U.S. military goes to Afghanistan and they invade. Now who's the terrorists? So, to the innocent civilians, women and children living in those villages, in cities, in towns, and even out in the farmlands, out, by the caves or whatever, who's the terrorist? Not the guys with machine guns in the caves. No, those aren't the terrorists. The terrorists are the people blowing their shit up, which was the USA. So it all depends upon where you're sitting as to who the terrorist is. So if you live on the Gaza Strip, you're well aware of who the terrorist is. And I always say, if you support that little country over there by the Mediterranean Sea that magically popped into existence after World War II, then you support colonialism. And if you support colonialism, we're not going to be friends. Bottom line. Terrorism is just a catchphrase, a buzzword. It's all about the context. As Gurdjieff would say, it's the law of three. The positive, the negative, and the neutral, or the neutralizing factor. You have a decision to make. Is it yes or no? Well, the only way you can really contextualize that is to look at the scenario, which would be the third force, the neutralizing force. Put it in context. Now you can clearly and morally make your choice. And you can apply that to anything, folks. This has been quite a different Quantum Grammar Shoot podcast. I know. Because, this month has been challenging in a few ways for me personally. And actually, I just turned 53 a couple days ago. So I haven't been able to really push out too much content. I actually did a comments video. I did a whole hour plus comments video, but my computer deleted it all by itself, which was sort of disheartening. But these quantum grammar shoots are fairly easy to make because all I have to do really right here is to talk into a microphone for 15-20 minutes. And then I create the video on my computer program where I just add a few photos, put an intro and an outro, and put a little music on there and ship it out. So, hope you enjoyed it. And of course, thank you for watching. Thank you for getting me to over 6,000 subscribers finally. I think I'm at 6,008 right now. It's awesome to be past 6,000 finally. Thank you. I appreciate you. And as always, que sera, sera.